I've heard they're making much better porridge in jail lately, not so lumpy.
Mrs. Tanner, I'd be most grateful if you'd kindly take the situation a little more seriously.
Here, here.
Oh, no, Mr. Swindley, it's not the end of the world. Nobody's going to think any of the worse of you for it.
Really? Wish I could share your optimism. In the circles in which I move, a situation of this nature leaves an irremovable stain on one's integrity. My father would turn in his grave. This is a bad day for the Swindlers, Mrs. Tanner.
Not to mention the Nugents. My father would be furious.
Ah, yes, the Commissioner.
Well, who's going to hear about it that matters?
May I remind you that cases of this type are widely published in the press, particularly the more sensational press.
Precisely.
Well, it's not the sort of thing our Dennis reads out to me of a Sunday morning, I might say.
Character means nothing. One slip, however unthinking, and a life lies in ruins. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees.
Hypocrites.
Beg your pardon?
It's the next word in the quotation, Matthew 23. You missed it out.
Yes. Well, be that as it may, this may well prove to be disastrous professionally. Disastrous.
You mean it won't help the job?
Well, hardly, Mrs. Tanner, hardly. Notoriety is hardly a qualification in our walk of life.
Well, it certainly isn't. I tremble to think what Mr. Papagopolous will say.
Oh, I think you're making mountains out of molehills. It's not as if you've been done for breaking and entering, is it?
Breaking and entering? You use some curious similes, if I may say so.
Oh, well, I take it if his lordship rings up, you want me to say that you're off on official business.
And the fewer people who know about it, the better.
Yes, indeed.
Morning. Morning, Mrs. Sharples. Don't be open the doors.
Open the doors?
This is one time I'm going to be first in the kiln. For what I've heard, it's likely to break all records.
You're surely not referring to the appearance of Miss Newton.
Magistrate court, 10:30, that's what I've heard. Everybody's going.
Oh, it's a pity there's nothing better to do, that's all I can say.
Look, I so fancy it myself.
Get away. It'd have been off like a shot if I'd given you the morning off.
No, I mean, I don't really fancy it. Well, I mean, it's a bit morbid, isn't it? I just thought it might have been like, well, you know, interesting.
Interesting, watching somebody in trouble.
I never really thought of it like that. I think it was with me, Mum and Dad going in Len Fairclough's van and my dad saying that it was better than wrestling, you know. Mind you, it's like that, my dad. Sensation man. Hey, did you read about that fellow in Sunday papers? What, had 3 wives and 14 kids?
The one who's tried to commit suicide in prison.
Aye, can you wonder?
Hey, did you read what he told him when he was off with the others?
Oh, but fancy him believing him, though. You wouldn't credit it, would you? Hiya, Belle, how's it going?
Hey, Irma will serve you.
I just popped in about you offering to cook for Ken while I'm away.
Oh, I'm all ready. I got my little frilly penny out last night that I had when I was a waitress. Give him a bit of a giggle, like, cheer him up a bit. I mean, they get miserable, don't they, with all that waiting and that.
Oh, well, we're terribly grateful, but the fact is I asked Mrs. Sharples weeks ago.
Oh? Oh, and she'd be put out like, wouldn't she, know, her being what she is like, Not get much of a giggle there, though, will they?
No.
It's funny you didn't say out to me. Are you sure it's not they don't fancy my cooking her out? I can cook, you know.
Oh, no, he didn't know. It was just that it's a, well, long-standing arrangement.
Oh. Shall I get half a pound of mint humbugs in case it's a long sit? 2 quarters in separate bags.
Oh, yes, Ina.
Oh, by the way, about that cooking business, I'll be round later for directions. I meant to mention it when you asked me last night. Oh, go on, get your humbugs.
Oh, yes. 2 separate quarters, please, of mint humbugs.
Mrs. Ogden.
I finished.
Finished? Are you sure, dear?
Yeah. Reckon I've broken the world record this morning.
Well, that may well be so, but I really cannot think that you've reached your usual standard in so short a time. Now, take the counters, for instance. I mean, you know how particular I am about the counters.
Well, it's all right.
Well, it appears to be so, yes, but nevertheless...
Right, then. I'll get my coat. You know, I'm looking forward to going to court. We don't seem to get much entertainment these days.
Hey, Annie, love, there's a button off this when you've a minute.
Isn't that your best suit?
Why? Well, I can't go to court in my working togs now, can I?
It is beyond me why you want to go at all. Now, I can understand someone of Stan Ogden's mentality, but what prompts you to go and sit in a place like that, simply to watch that poor man's misfortune?
Well, it's a morning out, isn't it?
Grown men, in this day and age, it is positively barbarous
Are we ready, then?
Hello. What are you doing here?
I've got the day off.
Well, where's Len?
Hey, this'll give you a laugh. Him and Jerry have got a rush job on.
Hey, we shall be late and miss it.
No, I've got his van. Come on.
Oh, good.
This way to the arena.
Right, Joe.
Come on, then.
Grown men.
Down there. Quality of mercy is not strained. It droppeth as the gentle rain from heaven.
Beg your pardon, Mr. Swindley.
I was reciting the bard, Miss Nugent. It helps to pass the time.
Oh. I suppose they must be dealing with some of the other criminals.
Criminals?
Well, I suppose I should really say wrongdoers. There was a rather uncouth man sitting next to me. I'm sure he was a criminal. His eyes were very close together.
Really? I prefer not to notice them.
First time, is it then?
Yes.
I thought I'd never seen you before. What is it then, love? Maintenance?
This is an entirely private matter.
Private? Oh, there's nothing private in here. It's like taking your clothes off in public when you go in there. Are you with them, love?
Well, yes, I am, actually.
Oh, I see. You were waiting for the matrimonials. You don't look like a correspondent to me.
It's a purely technical offence. A slight motoring incident.
Oh, one of those. Oh, you ought to have had Mrs. Waterhouse. She's ever so easy on the motorists, says Mrs. Waterhouse. Very hard with us, though. Very hard indeed.
Is yours a motoring offence?
Motoring? Me? Corn? Oh, love. Shoplifting, you know. Of course, old Daddy H is no good to anybody.
Daddy H?
Might as well plead guilty and have done with it. Last time they fined me a tenner. This time it'll be 20, I suppose.
Angela Winthrop.
Oh, here we go.
I presume by Daddy H she's referring to
Old Higgenbottom. Heaven help us.
Hello, Mrs. Walker. Nice to see a friendly face in here.
Mrs. Tanner, dear, I wonder, could you possibly let me have change for 10 shillings? Mr. Walker's gone blithely trotting off, leaving a practically empty till, and Mrs. Lindley's in practically the same position.
Bob, I think we can manage that.
Good. Sorry I'm in such a rush.
It's all right. I think I'll give it to you in 2 bob bits, eh?
Thank you, dear. That's lovely, thank you.
I'm surprised you're not at the court.
In court? Oh, I should think not, indeed. Tell me, is Mr. Swindley very upset?
Yes, Mrs. Walker, I'm afraid he is.
Dreadful thing, you know, for a man in his position.
You know, they seem to be scared stiff of the boss finding out. They're frightened to death of Mr. Papagopolous.
Do you think, they think they might be dismissed?
Well, his nib seems to think so.
Of course, in that case, it might well be the way to promotion for you.
Oh, it's a bit like laughing at a funeral, isn't it? Yeah, but I suppose it might.
So fine. Higgenbottom.
Well, I'm sure he can't be as bad as all that, Mr. Swindley. After all, this is the 20th century.
The whole legal system needs drastically reforming.
Yes, possibly, but saying that now won't help us, will it?
Reform. Drastic.
I suppose it couldn't be more than a fine, could it?
You mean prison?
Well, in any case, it could hardly be a very long sentence.
Oh, no. Ridiculous. Impossible. For an offence like this? Oh, no. Well, surely not. I mean, this woman who was sitting next to me, obviously a very doubtful character. She was only expecting a fine.
You mean the one who's coming now?
Yeah.
I'm on.
Oh, dear.
Emily Nugent.
Oh, it's me.
Courage, Miss Student. Courage.
Oh, my legs feel quite peculiar.
Courage.
Hey, who's got the salted peanuts?
Charlie.
Charlie, come on.
They've all gone. I thought they were all for me.
Here, have them in tumble.
Oh, thanks for this.
She made me.
What time's the big picture start?
They've just called Miss Nugent.
Hey, isn't it a shame? It should be him standing there, not her.
Give him a chance, it's his turn next.
Hey, he's a wicked-looking blighter, isn't he,
Emily Nugent.
Yes.
The complaints against the defendant are, 1,
Driving a motor vehicle on a road while holding only a provisional driving license and not being accompanied by a qualified driver. 2, driving the same vehicle the wrong way in a one-way street. Both these offences took place on the same day. Do you plead guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
To both complaints?
Well, yes, I'm afraid so.
On the morning of the day in question, the defendant was observed by Police Constable Ginty when driving in a one-way street. Constable Ginty was unable to stop her at the time, being on foot, but noticed the number of the vehicle and then went to her place of employment.
Can you hear what they're saying? Well, he'd a lot better if you stopped chipping in. Sound isn't very good, is it? Right, you tell him to speak up. Oh, oh no, he's not speak up that.
Yes, is there anyone here to speak for you?
No, I'm afraid not.
Have you anything to say in mitigation?
Only that, well, I didn't realise it was all a bit of a shock.
Oh, yes, well, ignorance, of course, is no defence in law. Yes, however, there appear to be certain facts which should be taken into account. Yes, not least the behaviour of the man who accompanied you at the time of the offence.
He means old Swindley. You know, he's really got it. How much do you think he'll get? Well, I will Mrs. Barbie doesn't get a month in jail.
A month?
Yes.
The look of old frozen chops. He'll have finished the Channel Tunnel by the time Swindley comes out.
Well, student, how much?
I can hardly believe it's all over.
How much? How much?
5.
£5?
It's much less than I expected.
Really? £5? Really?
There were mitigating circumstances, he said.
But of course there were. I said so all along.
Yes, but, well, I'm afraid he thought the main one was you.
Yeah.
Lieutenant Swindley.
Where the heck's he got to? But the old devil slung his hook. Oh, man.
Leonard Swindley.
Yes, sir.
The complaint against the defendant is accompanying a learner driver while not in possession of a current driving licence. The defendant was visited by a constable after the incident.
That old magistrate looks pretty grim, doesn't he?
Oh, I can hear his teeth gnashing from here.
See that fellow writing down there? I bet he's from a newspaper.
Hey, can you imagine the headlines? Local preacher leads lady assistant astray.
The vehicle involved was that referred to in the previous case?
Yes, that is so.
Yes. No. The defendant pleaded guilty. We have all the facts. Yes. Are you represented?
No, sir.
You want to say anything?
No, sir.
Would you mind speaking up?
No, sir. Yes, sir. No.
You are a lay preacher, I see. A candidate in the local elections in 1962. A man holding a responsible position in trade. Not a very responsible thing to do, was it? Yes. I wonder if you realize the seriousness of the offence. That it carries a penalty of up to £25, or 1 month's imprisonment, or both. Yes. I find it very disheartening. Disheartening that a man of your assumed standing should blatantly, and I repeat, blatantly, neglect his duty to the public. To make no mistake. The position in which you placed the young lady under your care might have had very serious consequences. Fine £20. Anything to say?
No, sir, no. I'm most grateful. Go on.
mistake, he says. Make no mistake. The position you place this young woman in could land you in quad, mate.
He didn't. Did he?
Aye. Well, more or less.
For 1 minute, I thought he was going to send for his birch there and then. Oh, very ugly indeed. Something like Stan here.
You mind?
Fancy talking to Mr. Swindley like that.
He cringed when he spoke to him. Did you see him cringe?
Oh, I all squashed up inside like.
I think we'd better talk about something else. We're upsetting Mrs. Walker.
Oh, no, love. I've got to know about these things. I mean, I've never been one for hiding my head in the sand. I've never turned my back on the facts of life.
No, well, you can read about it in the paper. What page is it, Albert?
It isn't in. I knew this for an early edition. I thought it a bit too early.
Let's have a shufty.
You can have a drop of rum, Jack.
Hey, how about old Swindley's chances if you'd been on the bench?
Me? I'd have found him £25 and a month in jail.
Now, Mrs. Sharp.
£25 and a month in jail. In my opinion, he got off very lightly, did Leonard Swindley. If a man in his position can't respect the law, who the heck can?
Of course, I've heard he likes the ladies, you know.
Oh.
Old Higgenbottom. Well, it stands out a mile, doesn't it? He finds old Swindley £20 and her only 5.
Well, it was his fault, you crackpot.
Aye, well, I suppose that could have something to do with it.
Hey, wasn't there no juicy down there?
No, not what I'd call juicy. There was mainly maintenance. Oh, there was this young lad, and he owed his wife £300 in arrears of £5 a week.
£300?
Without a word of a lie, and not a penny to his name. It seems he'd been living with another woman what had a kid, and now he's living with another one what's got 2.
How did they sort that lot out?
Oh, well, as far as I remember, they didn't.
Oh, we must be staring bonkers.
Anyway, if anybody wants me, I'll be upstairs.
Right.
Now, fancy a custard slice.
Now, here a minute. What? Do you remember that I offered to cook for Ken Barlow while she was away having the doodah, you know?
Oh, did you?
I told you I did. Anyway, I did. Listen, Valerie comes in today. She says, thanks very much. She says, with her face nearly cracking like, you know. But I fixed up some time ago with Mrs. Sharples. In comes Mrs. Sharples. Oh, she says, about cooking for your Ken. She says, what you asked me to do last night.
Go on.
What do you mean, go on? That's it. Last night.
Oh, I see. And what did she say?
Oh, give me... It doesn't matter what she said. Look, Valerie Barlow come in and said that she'd asked Mrs. Sharples some time ago, right? Mrs. Sharples comes in and says...
Oh, I get it, yeah.
Right,
yeah.
you with me now?
Yeah, I can see it now.
I reckon she was just plain jealous, don't you?
Well, of course she was jealous. You just wait till you're having a kid and see how you like it. I mean, Mrs. Sharples would be a lot more suitable. Why don't she have her instead of you?
Oh, she is doing you.
Oh, is she? Oh, well, that's all right then, isn't it?
Where is she? Where in heaven's name has the woman got to? Unreliable, completely unreliable.
I don't think you're being quite fair to Mrs. Tanner. After all, she did give the message to Mr. Papagopolous, and I'm quite sure I shouldn't have liked to do it. It does make her an accomplice, after all.
An accomplice?
Well, yes, Mr. Swindley. An accomplice.
Student, I'm a victim of the law, not a master criminal.
Well, I think that's a matter of opinion.
Do I hear you are right?
I meant about being a victim of the law. We did break the rules, after all.
10 minutes to buy a newspaper.
Perhaps there's a queue.
A queue? What do you mean to read about it? Oh, surely not. A queue?
No, I just meant a queue. I'm sure there's nothing in the newspaper. After all, we're very little fish, really, aren't we? Sort of tadpoles, comparatively speaking.
Ah, Mr. Gould. Did I see you in court this morning?
No, you didn't see me, Mr. Swindley. I've got something better to do.
Stout fellow. Not one of the mob, Miss Student. Not one of the gaping mob.
Oh, well, I was just going out to get a newspaper. I thought I'd bring that Fuller and Tanner in now, you.
Did you say a newspaper?
Oh, that's right, for Mr. Fairclough. He said he didn't want to wait while his own were delivered. Ta-ra, then.
Et tu, Leonard. Et tu. The vultures are gathering, Miss Student. The lights over Europe going out.
Oh, I'm sorry it was so long, but I had to wait for them to arrive. Anyway, I was first in the queue.
The queue? Oh, don't let's start that again. Here, open it, Miss Student.
Let's have a look. Nothing
There's
on
nothing there.
Turn over. Have a look. Oh, I say. I like that skirt, don't you?
It is rather dashing, isn't it? It'd suit you. We should be able to tell from the heading.
Do you think it would? Miss Petrie?
Ladies, please.
Oh, nothing there.
No.
Oh, wait a minute.
What's that?
Yeah. Shopkeeper, sadistic monster, says magistrate.
What?
No, that's not it.
It sounds rather as if it might be, didn't it?
No. Nothing else in the rest of his adverts.
Oh, we're saved.
Well, one gets these apprehensions, although I never seriously thought that... Well, Miss Student, you seem to have weathered the storm. Yes, coming to harbour. Our moorings are safe.
Just a minute. What's that?
Magistrate attacks local preacher.
Huh?
You'll find a spare box of matches in here. That's just in case the gas lighter doesn't work, because it's inclined to be a bit temperamental.
Well, that makes two of us then.
And I keep things like sugar and flour in here to keep them dry.
Rice?
Oh, we hardly ever have rice, except for the odd curry, because Ken's not very keen on rice pudding.
Oh, not very keen on rice pudding. Is there anything else his lordship objects to?
Well, semolina and macaroni and that sort of thing. Oh, and he's not mad on scrambled egg or poached egg unless it's done hard, the yolk, you know. And he doesn't like porridge.
Mind telling me what he does like?
Oh, most things, really. He's not what I call finicky.
Oh, it could be better not be. I was brought up to eat what was put in front of me and be thankful for it.
Oh, don't be too hard on him.
You leave him to me. It won't hurt him to toe the line for a bit. From what I've heard, I think he's had it very cushy.
Yeah, I suppose he has been a bit spoiled.
Yes. Anyway, it'll break him in for what's to come later. Hey, do you think he's got any idea what it's going to be like?
In theory, yes. In practice, no. Well, I don't really think there's anything else I can tell you.
Well, I don't know. I can find out. You look fagged out to me.
Oh, I feel it. I seem to get terribly tired in the afternoons.
Right, well, I'll leave you to it then.
Thanks ever so much, Mrs. Sharples. I feel so much easier about it now.
Oh, that's all right, lass. I'll give him rice pudding.
Mrs. Tanner sounds happy.
Yes. Mrs. Tanner's a happy-go-lucky woman.
I think she's right. Take life as it comes, I say.
Oh, come now, Miss Student. You mustn't give way to despair.
It's all sent to trials, I suppose.
Nil desperandum, as the saying is. I've almost made up my mind to take the bull by the horns.
You mean you're going to telephone Mr. Papagopolous?
It may gain for me a certain tactical advantage. Gamma garments? Yeah. Yes, I'll hold on.
Too late was the cry.
Sometimes I'd swear that this place was wired up with microphones. Yes, Swindley speaking. Yes, sir. Oh, yes, I'm sorry I was out. Go on. Well, yes, but I'm afraid you may have been a little misled by an error on my part. Actually, I was in court. Oh, no. It's a merely trifling little motor offence here, but purely technical. Oh, yes, I see. Yes. Very well, sir. First thing in the morning. Yes. Goodbye.
What did he say?
He said that he wasn't in the least worried about the motoring offence, but he was very worried about the new spring lines. I'm to report to head office first thing in the morning.
Oh, well, that's a relief.
Yes, indeed. Let us hope that others will judge likewise.
Shall we dance? Bum, 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 on the bright bird of music, shall we?
Oh, come on, Corbett. We'll have a nice cup of tea as soon as we can find the missus.
Right, well,
Lowe!
Coming.
I'll just put kettle on, shall I?
Yeah, that sounds like a good start to a nice quiet evening. Oh, you know, I've been longing to get my feet up all day.
Do you know, I fancy a boiled egg for my tea.
Hello. Not going out, surely?
Hey, I'm just going to put kettle on.
Would one of you like to take me case for me?
You know what I mean?
Yes, I think so.
Well, yeah. Hold on a minute, hold on. I'll go and get Len Fairclough.
Shall we go meet him?